I call the honourable member to Iraroa Flavel. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe, Mr Chair. Kia ora tātou e homa, e hui nei tēnei pō. And thanks to the member and the Chair for giving at least a lead into our kōrero tonight, and very much thank him for his cooperation, and indeed the Minister, to get us to the point where we are tonight. To set the scene, Mr Speaker, about how this amendment came about, a very good amendment in my name, and I'm sure it's been supported by all members of the House. At the opening address of the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues earlier this week, Mr Chair, the United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon welcomed the fact that the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples finally had the consensus it deserves. And he challenged nations to make the Declaration's principles a reality, to protect and promote the rights of Indigenous peoples simply because it benefits all of us. And so when we come to this Royal Society Bill, it seems an absolutely appropriate place to place and apply some of this wisdom. Mr Chair, the bill amends the Royal Society of New Zealand Act 1997 by a number of measures, including incorporating the humanities into the objects and functions of the Society, as other members have spoken about tonight. And when it came to the Education and Science Committee, they examined the provisions and recommended that it be passed with the main substantive amendment to the definition of humanities, basically the Section 5. But while I did so, while doing so, they also put forward some very strong guidance, specifically to omit mentions of English and of American studies. And curiously, however, while and I'll take the member's point about being a little bit hard on them, and in terms of that action, and cutting out and deleting America and England from this bill, one thing that Māori Party picked up was they neglected to actually preserve and protect that which is purely of this land, namely Aotearoa. And that's basically where the Māori Party has come in. They crossed out American studies as a part of humanities, perhaps because we're not America. They crossed out England as a part of English, at least, as a part of the humanities because we're not in England. But the Māori Party has suggested that in remembering who we are, it was logical that we learn about te reo Māori, Māori studies, and te tiriti o Waitangi. And so over a month ago I released the supplementary order paper which amends the Royal Society of New Zealand Amendment Bill to include in the definitions of humanities Māori studies, te reo, and the recognition, application and advancement of te tiriti o Waitangi. I'll come to the definition shortly. These amendments would balance out the bill to identify and distinguish it as homegrown, a truly New Zealand bill. Mr Chair, I proposed, therefore, a definition of humanities which includes languages, and in particular te reo, history, religion, philosophy, law, classics, linguistics, cultural studies, Māori studies, media studies, art history, film, drama, and the studies of te tiriti o Waitangi. And that we thought was a pretty logical move. Now, a part of that was not to insist or mandate the compulsory study of te reo, or even of te tiriti o Waitangi or of Māori studies, in fact, much as some may well have favoured that approach. The SOP that we put up doesn't mean people must study these disciplines. We simply propose that it qualifies under the definition of humanities. We have developed this amendment not just, of course, because one of the submissions received on the bill, a submission from one George Jones, I'm told, suggested Māori studies must be included. We did so, sir, because it's pretty unthinkable to consider the application of humanities in our land without consideration of the people of the land, tangata whenua. The official language of the land, te reo Māori, and one would have hoped the foundation of our nationhood, te tiriti o Waitangi. This is Aotearoa New Zealand. The fundamental source of authority for our country comes from te tiriti o Waitangi, the Treaty of Waitangi. In that treaty, the Crown agreed to arrange governorship over Pākehā living here without British law. It has also guaranteed the continuance of Māori authority and sovereignty over our lands, our villages and everything else that we treasure, including our language and culture and customs. And in Article 3 it accords Māori similar rights to those of British people. So, sir, to quote the Honourable Judge Jury, we must not forget that the treaty is not just a Bill of Rights for Māori. We must remember that if we are tangata whenua, the original people, then the Pākehā are tangata treaty, those who belong to the land by right of that treaty. So the treaty is a Bill of Rights for Māori and non-Māori alike. And having at least put the case, I would like to acknowledge the Minister, Dr. Wayne Mapp, for his willingness to consider these amendments. We did not quite achieve the goal. Mr. Chair.
I call the honourable member to Iraroa Flavel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I say, we didn't quite achieve the goal, as members will see, in terms of the amendment on the table, because there's obviously one or two bits, major bits crossed out. But it wasn't through a lack of trying, and it wasn't through at least some consideration by the Minister, which really appreciated. His response to the notion that we needed that the treaty, at least the treaty section, be taken out, was that it was indeed captured in I suppose, the definitions of law, maybe even philosophy, and that's why we had to sort of remove that section. There may well have been other motives, but we'll leave those aside, because in the end we would have liked it to have been a part of that. But in the end, a gain is a gain. A gain is a gain, and te reo Māori and Māori studies is significant in terms of its promotion and acknowledgement in this particular bill. As I say, I appreciate the support from the Minister. I appreciate the work done by the Honourable Member, Mr Robertson, and of course the other parties. Labour, I hope, will be coming. Well, I'm assuming they're coming to the party. I'm sure the Greens will be with us as well. And in fact, all of the members that will indeed support this SOP, it's very much appreciated, and look forward to having this added to the definitions of this particular bill. Ko tāku noa ko te mihi ki tēnā o tātou te whare. He mea nui tēnā ki te whakanui te reahuatanga o te reo Māori, ka motu ngā tikanga Māori e tuhia mai ai ki roto i te pire nei. E hari te mea he kupu noio, kao. He wairua anō rā kai reira, he tikanga anō rā kai reira, ki te ki atu he te reo Māori, e hari te mea he kupu paku nei kare o na kiko, rā no te whānui, te whāro o tēnā whakamārama, tai atu ki ngā tikanga o te tikanga Māori e pērā no te āhua. Oira, ka mihi rā ki a tātou katoa i tēnei pō, a tēnā koutou kia ora tātou.
I call the honourable member Rajan